So, Akram, you're one of the few, I would say, very passionate people in the gaming industry. And Marvel's Avengers is getting a lot of heat. So I wanted to get your thoughts on where do you think are the next steps and what were your overall thoughts on the game?
Well, yeah. So obviously, Dylan knows. If you guys don't know, I am one of the few that stuck with Marvel's Avengers since the very beginning. I always felt like it was a game that it's all, as if I look at it like this. It's as if it's a once in a lifetime experience. Everyone always wanted to play as characters like Thor, Black Widow. We never really got to play as in third person and has like some sort of linear storyline. I think that the downfall was trying to match the trend, which is live service. And for Avengers, like the way how this is set up, I think they failed. And I think it's in part due to like what happened with COVID. I remember the game launched, it was really glitched. And before that, even they had issues. I remember I even I did like a change.org petition long time ago to show actual gameplay after the trailer was released, and it got quite a few like signatures, and they even changed the graphics or like character models and stuff like that. So they kept on changing things, and I think it's because there's a confusion, especially developers. I feel bad because a lot of them have to like work from home during like the rise of COVID-19, and they had a lot of issues. And they couldn't resolve these issues because they were working from home. But I think if they were working in a studio, would things be better? Yes. Technical wise, like stuff like that, sure. But the underlining problem, I think, is the live service aspect and how it was executed. And I think that's where a lot of people, they dropped off because the content wasn't that good. It didn't feel that rewarding to stick around towards the end, to keep grinding. At the time, you had like a certain level to reach, like there's like a hard cap. And there was just no content, right? You would have to like keep grinding the same place. And I think they tried to take their model off of like games like, let's say, like Destiny, which I'm a big fan of too, which I stopped playing because I'm not a big fan anymore of like looter shooters. And I don't know, the gameplay they have the best gameplay, I feel, for all the Avengers at the time. They had one of the game designers from God of War, right? I think it was like 2017, 2018 God of War for Thor. Because in the God of War game, you could throw the Leviathan axe. So that's cool. Story-wise, I think that's a miss too. It's a sweet story. They use kind of Kamala Khan as this device where you're learning with her. And I think that's a smart way to like approach like a new world you're building. But other than that, it was kind of like mediocre. It was very cliche. And the graphics were really like, I don't know. It wasn't like Spider-Man kind of graphics. It seemed like that.
I was going to say, what do you think this game lacks that say like games like, Marvel Spider-Man, which is like, so, has a great like following. What do you think it's missing in this game that other games have?
I think, on some games, it's weird because games, I always feel like, have two parts. It's the game itself and it's the people playing the game and the community. And so this game, I feel like it's kind of missing a heart. Not to like down this game so much because I still am an avid player of the game, but I think that, like, for example, Guardians of the Galaxy, the game, the way how they approached the story, I know it's not a live service, but the way how they approached it, like even if it was a live service, I feel like it still had a heart. The way how they approached the characters, just the dialogue in general. This kind of felt like it's missing that. I don't know. And sometimes it seems like some things are sloppily done. Like there could be like a really nice cutscene and then all of a sudden you're with another cutscene that's not really like a professional cutscene. I don't know. It's like very like back and forth, close up face shots. And I get that because that's live service games in general. It's the same thing with RPGs. Like a lot of RPGs, for some reason, like I just played Gotham Knights. Whenever like it doesn't look anywhere near Arkham Knight, right? And I don't know why they do that. I think there's just technical limitations when you're approaching a certain type of like game style. But I think that's what is missing. And I think the community dropped off way too early. And for the most part, still, Crystal Dynamics, they had a lot of issues later on with an acquisition for Square Enix. shift in community managers, right? And I think it really hurt them. And I think that they were really transparent. They did a lot of Q&As. They kept on asking people how can they improve. They're always trying to improve, but it got to a point where there were so many issues. All they could say was, soon, and that was like a little tagline that the community would say on Twitter, like, oh, soon, and everyone would make memes. And then you had like people, I'm not going to really mention names, but there were some people on Twitter that there's one person that's like Avengers hater, and stuff like that. They have communities just to hate on the game. And I don't feel like it's really too fair, because the developers are trying to do the best with what they have, especially in the pandemic. And I think in part two, it was the higher ups. I think they said, well, live service, this is it. We could get a lot of money through microtransactions. And that's one of the things where if you're excited to play Marvel's Avengers and you want to check in, you always go straight to the marketplace to see the new skins. And even that is lacking. There were so many recolors, right? Like other games, they have a way of like, you could pick, I would rather have no recolors and have more original skins, or what they could have done was have more original skins, and then you have options where there's free recolors if you choose. Because since it's a looter shooter and you have to like upgrade your gear and get certain gear pieces, it doesn't change the exterior of your character's like suit, which is fine for me. I know that they kind of want to make it like a singular suit, like it makes sense. It doesn't look wacky. That's fine. But I don't know. There's a lot of issues. I think it was kind of like, it seemed like as if it was like half done. I don't know, which it was. It launched with like a lot of glitches. A lot of people, they had to reset the progression, especially on PS5. There was an issue recently. I mean, it's still going where people have a glitch and oh shit, all my stuff is gone. And you can't even save stuff through like a server. There isn't like a server. So you have to make sure that like you have PlayStation Plus and stuff like that, just in case something goes wrong.
Do you think Crystal Dynamics was the way to go? I mean, they've only really been known for their Tomb Raider franchise, which you can kind of see elements in this game. Do you think another developer company could have done it better?
Well, that's the thing. It's like, probably like even like they're making a new. Amy Hennig is doing a new game with Black Panther that we talked about before in the D23 reactions, right? And Captain America. And I'm sure the story is going to be amazing because Amy Hennig is behind it, right? And we all played the Uncharted games and that was amazing. I mean, if let's say Ubisoft got the rights, I'm sure it'll still be a live service. And I don't know if it'll be any better. I know that their studio's bigger, but for one thing I could say is I compared Gotham Knights to Ubisoft graphics because it's so Mod Podge. And the graphics here are good. I think that it depends. Like, again, this is live service. So I wouldn't have approached this game live service. I would have approached it like Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy. And even that game, like the sequel to that, we don't even know what's going to happen because all the acquisition deals and stuff like that, we really don't know if it's going to come back. I would say that they're probably in better hands if they were like somewhere else. But I don't know, Marvel, the rights and things like that, I'm not really too sure. I think the other people would take the live service approach just to get on a trend and have people pay money every week. And which, first and foremost, too, the skins are so like, I think you have to pay like $20. Like, it's really expensive. Like, if you really want to like get a lot of stuff, it's expensive. You know, it's like almost like a bill. And I drop off a lot of times because there's a lack of like reoccurring content. We had the War for Wakanda DLC, which I thought was really great, to be honest. The actor from God of War, the voice actor, he's playing Chitala, which is amazing. I love the redesigns for the suits, I'm not going to lie. I just feel like there could be a lot more. AIM is always a threat. And like, I know a lot of people are tired of this. We had, and again, guys, I was here since the very beginning. We had Taken Aim, Kate Bishop. We had the Hawkeye DLC. And those seem kind of lackluster as well. They kind of seem like they were rushed. But again, I wonder if the situations were different and they were at a studio and they were working on this. I wonder how the DLC would actually be. I wonder if they had more people, how would that be? Would it be better? I don't know. Because you really have to work this game from the ground up. You have to do like a Taken King type of update for this game to really bring new players in that aren't really familiar with Marvel's Avengers. And unfortunately, it definitely bombed. I still stick with it, but they keep having. They're trying to do the best they can with what they have. They released recently Mighty Thor, Jane Foster Thor, to match the Thor Love and Thunder movie. She's a clone from the Thor character, right? It's just as if you put a skin. Like, I don't even know why couldn't you just put a skin for Thor, like how Injustice does, and then they kind of changed the voice and stuff and the look. Like, you could have just did something like that, rather than grind. Which is funny because Thor's my favorite character, so I actually grinded her completely. I unlocked all her champion skills and stuff. She-Hulk was supposed to come out, right? But there's someone that we're going to talk about that I think that they kind of wanted to trick everybody because of this. So She-Hulk wasn't released instead. Winter Soldier is going to come out pretty soon, around actually this month of this recording, or probably December. What kept me going, I must say, what kept me going from the very start was a certain individual that gained a lot of notoriety through the years. And that's Miller. I think everyone who is a part of the community will know Miller is like a staple of Marvel's Avengers. He's the one person that keeps everyone going. I thought at one point Miller was like an undercover community manager. Like, a lot of people had their conspiracies because he really kept the community like together and excited. And that's what the social teams for Marvel's Avengers didn't do. Miller did. So Miller, I'm not going to say what he really is, but let's just say he's a plumber. And Miller, he showed us like even War Machine at one point, which was amazing. It got me really hyped. That was supposed to be his last tweet, I remember. And then all of a sudden, he kept on going, and I was so glad for it. I was so here for it. He got me so excited for Hawkeye's DLC. He gave us information about She-Hulk. And there's some people in Crystal Dynamics that have beef with him now, which I think it's unfair, because if you guys did your job right, then you wouldn't need somebody like him. And actually, I think they should thank him, because he's keeping people attached there. Like, there's like they're getting fairly famous now, like Lejeune and other people that I'm blanking right now thinking of. There's like only a handful of gamers still covering Marvel's Avengers and like builds and stuff like that. Even Tony Bing kind of dropped out of it, and he was like one of those guys that was like, I could kind of compare him to Houndish, from Destiny community. I could kind of compare him like that, because he was always like really into the percentages aspects of gear building and stuff like that, and he dropped out of it. So Miller really, he's still with Marvel's Avengers. I appreciate that. I think he's helping the community. I think it's unfair what some of the community managers again are doing. Even trying to do some banning and stuff like that along the line. And if you guys haven't checked out Miller's 8 M's and a Miller on Twitter.
Very you heard it here. Shout out to Miller.
Shout out to Miller. Yeah, I stuck with you since the very beginning. Again, he helped the community. He's teasing things along the way. He told us about Winter Soldier way before Crystal Dynamics ever told anybody about Winter Soldier. That made me excited, right? Spider-Man lines he shared. I was like, oh shit, especially the whole fiasco where Spider-Man is PlayStation exclusive. There's a lot of problems with the games, but I think everyone, they just really want to see their favorite characters come to this game. It has so much potential because of the gameplay. I feel like the way how they design the characters and the gameplay is what keeps certain people playing. And then plus when Miller introduces like certain teasers and stuff like that, or like marketplace updates down the line, or little updates here and there, I think it really keeps people interested. And I think it's interesting. I never seen that in my life. I haven't seen anybody that doesn't work for the company that does things like plumbing, but he actually keeps, like, I swear to God, they should even like pay him. Like he's keeping people here. And that's important. You need that, because I don't want this game to get canceled. I want to get to a point where it does have a Taken King. Like it was prophesized like that Captain Marvel would be the Taken King DLC, where we'll fight Kree rather than AIM, that we've been fighting for. I actually at one point I feel like we're committing war crimes against AIM bots, because we're just nonstop beating them. It's like so sad.
I've seen the
now.
gameplay. It's really ridiculous. So it's just only bots. It's like,
that's
diversify the villains. That's what I'm saying. You got to diversify. Yeah, to make it more interesting.
Yeah, I think that we again, it's hard to do. I don't know about funding, right? I'm not like, I don't know all the tea, what's going inside behind the studio. I know that they had issues, but
do you think its uniqueness that it's not affiliated with the MCU is a strength, or do you think it would have been stronger if it had been tied to the MCU?
I think that I think what's funny is we had a Let's Talk About the MCU recently, so you guys haven't check it out. And we were talking about like it's cool when some shows or movies feel very like far away from the MCU, and so I think it's one of the strengths because that's how the comics are. Like it's one of the strengths. I thought that they were going to build a universe from this. At one point, I was saying that, Spider-Man from the Spider-Man PS4 game is actually part of this universe. I was hoping for it, but I was wrong. And Guardians of the Galaxy was part of this universe because they kind of had like the similar type of like models and structures from all those games. I think it's a strength. I just think that, and it's Avengers. You could, we got Mighty Thor, Jane Foster, which is a clone, but still, that's like a random character that I didn't think, we're gonna get her, really. I'd rather see less clones. Like, imagine one day we'll see like Daredevil or something. Like, especially with their gameplay, how cool would that be?
Right.
I just hope they don't fudge. Like, I know that now, apparently from Twitter, that Winter Soldier will kind of be like a clone of Captain America and Black Widow. Like they mixed them. I think it's smart if you don't have the assets to really and the time to work on a character. Also, but I do want to see more originality. I think it's a strength. But I think
even the Kamala Khan gameplay looks really good. Cool too. And who would expect her to be in an Avengers game, right?
Oh yeah. I think that's what really, to be honest with you, that's one thing the Avengers game got going with Kamala. I think they actually made her a little bit more famous after the game. And then we had the show. I don't know if it was coincidental that they were working on a show for a long time ago, but it was like weird. They must have had a discussion or something because I think she became more popular just because the game, even though the game kind of failed. I think and then even what's his name, MODOK was redesigned here, pretty cool too. And I wonder if we're going to see some elements of that in Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. And they have a lot of famous voice actors here too, which is awesome. Troy Baker is always awesome to see. Nolan North. So I don't know. It has a lot of problems. I'm still sticking with it because I do see a bright future. Some of the updates from them, I'm not like a big fan of. Like it kind of seems like it's a shitty situation. And this is just this game. Unless you do like an overhaul, like you do a rehaul of this game,
right? Get
new people in, maybe you could fix it. But as long as we have people still a part of the community, like Lejeune, you have other people, they're really trying to bring everyone in, trying to show new builds and stuff. And you have people like Miller getting people excited, to keep playing the game. I think there will always be a small community, but that's why this community, I feel, is the weirdest community. This game is the weirdest game ever because we really have, everyone who's playing this game, like they love it. They have to love it. Like me, you have to love some aspect of it because you see potential. And so when the company is not doing their job, right? And they tried their best too. I mean, they keep trying to update, but when they're not doing all that they can because they're restricted, because they can't really reveal a lot of stuff because they're still working on it. There's still a lot of work to be done. So when you have somebody like Miller, you have the community really getting together, you speculate a lot. And I think that's what's keeping this game alive. And I think that in the future, hopefully, this game will eventually be like Destiny taking king. It's that type of update and have more games to come. It's
a hard market, especially gaming, and especially there are so many other live stream games. It's really hard to keep up. But hey, if Cyberpunk managed to make a comeback, who knows? Maybe that's what they gotta do. They just gotta make an anime for Marvel's Avengers or something. But I mean, at least Miller's like doing his best to keep the community alive, and that's so awesome of him. But I agree. I agree. I think the live service thing was kind of weird. A weird take on the game. But I think the gameplay overall was all right. I think the story too, from what I've seen, was kind of a little lackluster. So I think just minor changes could have helped the game a lot.
Yeah, absolutely.
But do you have any final thoughts on the game? What it can improve?
Well, yeah, for sure. Definitely just try your best to. I'm sure they have a lot of characters that they're going to work on in the future. Some characters that I'd like to see again, like I'd love to see like a Luke Cage or something. I love for them to like approach like a Defenders type of thing. I have a lot of characters, especially the gameplay. I think it's a silver lining to the game. I think it's really like an anchor that everyone like enjoys playing the game. That's a good thing, as long as it doesn't glitch, right? I know that the story is kind of like lackluster here and there, but still it's awesome. The voice acting's great. I just bring in more villains, I'd say. Like, that's my hope. Bring more villains in, right? Stop repeating Abomination and Taskmaster. We never use Crossbones again, really. Like, let's bring him in. I know MODOK's coming, or actually MODOK kind of like was here in a recent update, which was really short and whatever, but it's time to move on. And I hope that, I'm pretty sure they're working on something big. And I have high hopes for it. I know that they separated teams, I'd say. And also, guys, just follow. If you really are interested in Marvel's Avengers, or you want to get into it, I mean, now there's plenty of content to play in Marvel's Avengers, so you won't really get bored. And if you want to keep up with updates, check out Miller. He's awesome. I've been following Miller since the very beginning, since he was a plumber, and since we didn't see his face, and in the old Twitter, the Twitch days where it was a face reveal and stuff like that. So Miller, we love you. Thank you so much for all the hard work. And we completely stand with you always. But yeah, those are my final thoughts. Why don't you just take us away?
Well, guys, you heard it from the game expert himself, Green Steel. If you're interested in more video game content, you can follow Akram's channel at Green Steel. And of course, you can follow our podcast as well for more content. We cover a lot of game news and game events as well. But yeah, thank you, Akram, for your thoughts on Marvel's Avengers. And thank you guys for tuning in for this Let's Talk About episode. We have another Let's Talk About episode coming right after this with our good friend Jerome. So you want to stick around for that. But thank you guys, as always, for following our channel for almost 100 subs. We are almost there, just 2 subs away. So thank you guys for your patronage. We're almost there. We have a community tab, so you can engage with our podcast more as well. But of course, you can also listen to us on Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Spotify as well. And you can interact with us on our Instagram and TikTok socials as well. So thank you guys for tuning in for this Let's Talk About episode. And until then, thanks for having lunch with us.
See you guys.